barbershop conversation, guys. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to join the Patreon. As I told you guys, man, I'm literally escrow right now. Right now, in this very moment, I'm in escrow, man. I just bought $1 million property on the street I was raised on and the street I went to middle school with. So, hey, what's up, King? How you feel, soldier? All right, likewise. And and two, what was the number 2? Oh, I just saw Trill Boxing Talk, man. Best show on YouTube, you know what I mean? And yeah, man, great show. And they have Patreons too, so go subscribe to 78's Patreon as well. Now let's jump into this really quick. They were talking about Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter, and I'm gonna come to you from a business perspective, okay? A common sense, practical business perspective. Why PBC, Al Heyman is allowing Sean Porter to negotiate with Top Rank. He said he got permission to do it, right? And you saw the gloating in Kenny Porter, but the truth of the matter is, I'm gonna show you the catch. Let's go to Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder got permission to promote with the Zone. Anyone else who wanted to promote with him actually had a private meeting, which became public, and they said they offered him $40 million. What happened with Showtime? They responded and said, we're going to give you what they were going to give you too, and then we're going to set up your next 2 fights, which was Tyson Fury and Luis Ortiz. They responded to the threat. It's like when you're in a relationship, right? And I'm going to speak to all my niggas. If your girl catch you cheating, or you think your girl catch you cheating, what you going to do? You going to respond to that threat. All right? When your boss tells you, hey, listen, Fred, hey, take Friday off. And you say, okay, and you don't even, your antennas don't even go up. You say, okay, I'll take the day off. They either want to cut pay or they doing something they don't want you to know about on that day that you're taking off. And the truth of the matter, here's this. Here's the truth of the matter. Who's fought on Top Rank? John Molina, Felix Diaz, Amir Khan, whoever they don't have fights for or not in their plans. PBC says, hey, yeah, sure, go ahead, go find the fight. Truth of the matter is, in my humble opinion, Sean Porter has run his course. You understand? He's fought all the elite fighters and he's come up short. But that's not the bigger deal. The bigger deal is 2 components. They invested in Sean Porter without a return, with a negative return. Remember, he had his own event in March. They said it was too cold out there. However, 20 days before that, it was cold too, 50 degrees, 40 degrees. And Grammy weekend, I might add, it was actually raining that weekend. And Tank Davis actually sold out the same arena, StubHub. So it's arbitrary there which way you want to go. And 2, here's the biggest component, which I think is so important, is that Sean Porter has never had a rematch clause when he's had his belt. If he rematches Kell Brook in 2014, 2015, whatever that fight is, he beats him, in my humble opinion. You know what I mean? I think Kell Brook was just satisfied with winning in that very moment, because since then he's just sought out paydays. You know what I mean? And some say he quit against Errol Spence, but I think Errol Spence just physically beat him up. His mind just genuinely wasn't in that fight. But I think Sean Porter wins the 2014-2015 rematch with Kell Brook. Now let's fast forward all the way to Errol Spence. Errol Spence has a belt. Sean Porter has a belt. He has a WBC belt, and I'm going to use a WBC right now, or any belt for that matter. He didn't have a rematch clause. Business 101. Now, understand this. J-Rock fought, let's just work backwards just for a year. We're not going to go back into history. We're just going to work backwards for a year. February 22nd, right? Deontay Wilder is fighting Tyson Fury. It's public knowledge now that there's a rematch clause, or better yet, a 3rd fight. Okay, already in the works, already in the contract, in the language of the contract, I should say that. That's the more appropriate word. J-Rock just lost this past Saturday. In that very moment, Breadman is his trainer, is his manager, who Breadman says J-Rock takes home over 80% of his money. Okay? Take home 80% of his money. Had a rematch clause in J-Rock's contract. Now let's go to Jermell Charlo. Rematch clause. Tony Harrison couldn't go nowhere. Okay? Let's go Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua. Andy Ruiz, Al Heyman tried to finagle their way out of that contract. It was so bad, Eddie Hearn went to the New York courts and put an injunction on them to reinforce their rematch clause. And in turn, first fight in the history of Saudi Arabia of that magnitude, which has never happened before, the fight happened. So this is how strong and how important the rematch clause is. It protects you. It protected Jermell Charlo. It genuinely protected Anthony Joshua, and it's right now today going to protect J-Rock. And two, God forbid, but if Deontay Wilder loses, it's going to protect him, because I believe he'll win in the rematch against Tyson Fury. Now the key to all this is Shawn Porter's never had a rematch clause, and why that is so important. Why that is so important is at the beginning of Blue Blood's interview, he said the first fight they want. He says Al Heyman was in the interview, Shawn Porter, Kenny Porter was in the interview, the Porters and the Heymans were in the interview, and whoever else from PBC was there. Listen to the context clues. He said he was there, and the first fight they wanted was the Errol Spence rematch. Did that ring a bell? That's why I said the devil's in the details. Limo tent to V12. I'm telling y'all. And then they said it's okay for you to go to Top Rank. One, they don't have, in my humble opinion, this is just me putting two and two together, and maybe I'm too smart for my own good, because very little gets by me when it comes to money, right? I'm not saying I'm perfect. I can be beat out of a deal, but it's going to take a hell of a genius to do it. They said they went into the meeting wanting the Errol Spence rematch. They left the meeting with the permission to go fight Terrence Crawford. You went in the meeting wanting a raise from your boss. You left the meeting with getting Fridays off. They cut your pay, you stupid motherfucker. They cut your pay. You happy you got Fridays off, but you're only getting paid for 4 days instead of 5. I'm just, and I'll be honest, I want Kenny to get paid, because he's going to have to pay me one day soon. So I don't give a fuck. So anyways, man, let that sink in. You know what I mean? So anyways, what I'll say is this. You can't have one man dictating all your business. As I said in the Big Baby Miller video that's about to drop. You shouldn't have, man, you got to be in control of everything. And some say Shawn Porter is a great guy. He's always been fair to me, but at the end of the day, his business has failed him. He had the WBC belt and didn't have a rematch clause. Every PBC fighter that has fought in the past 18 months with the WBC belt has had a rematch clause. Shawn Porter is the only one on PBC that didn't have a rematch clause. Who's his manager? Who brags about being his manager? Who brags about being his trainer? Who proudly wears a WBC chain? Who brags about everything? Who brags about doing the Danny Garcia for I signed my son to a contract? Come on, dog. Talking in my cup. Middle Child by J. Cole. What up, Errol Spence? I remember that shit when he was promoting the fight, the Mikey Garcia fight. But anyways, man, that's the truth of the matter. And that's what it boils down to. Andre Berto is seeping in on the PBC network. Keith, I told you guys 7 months ago, Keith Thurman, they wanted Keith Thurman to do that deal, but he has some stuff to take care of. Long before I started talking about this Kenny Porter fiasco and I pissed him off, and it's okay, because that's real life. It happens. It's okay. And this ain't no motherfucking sniper shot at Kenny Porter. I can give two shits. You know what I mean? Genuinely. But I want to be clear and fair so you guys understand. Your business must be in order. If your business ain't in order, you're going to be manipulated. You're going to be taken advantage of. Okay? If you don't believe me, look at all the people on the app. They trap hashtag. Hey, Black Fight Fan, you need to hashtag that shit. Trapped on the app. Those motherfuckers are trapped on that. Why isn't Andrade campaigning to fight Canelo. Why is that fight? He shouldn't be campaigning. Shouldn't be sending contracts to Charlo. You should be sending contracts to Canelo. That should be a deal you can make on IG. Hey, Oscar, May 3rd, you don't have a fight yet. Can we get this deal done? You know what I mean? This lady, 50 years old, got jams. She just played Middle Child. Now she playing Roddy Ricch. The box, man. That shit goes. She 50 years old, dog. She 50 years old with the grandma hat on. Her grandkids got her popping, dog. Anyways, man. Anyway, that's the truth of the matter, man. I heard you guys talking about that on Trail Boxing Talk, but that's the fact of the matter. That's the truth. If your boss gives you permission to go seek another job, you're expendable. And that's the truth of the matter. You don't believe me? I'm going to substantiate my claim even more. I spoke to Team Danny Garcia Saturday night, and they said, fuck Sean Porter. They didn't give me a rematch. He has no value. He has nothing that they can offer him. Sean Porter has nothing he can offer to an opponent but be a great opponent, be a great fighter. He's a great fighter, has great skill set, but his business is not in order. His career would be completely different if, simply put, if he had a rematch clause. Simply put, Breadman, who used to be in his corner, if I'm not mistaken, for about first couple of fights or a handful of fights, had enough common sense to put a rematch clause on J-Rock and pay J-Rock over 80% of his pay. Kenny Porter, who's in control, and I'm telling you, my very last conversation I ever had with Kenny Porter was, why are you doing so much? You're doing too much. He says, I can do everything. Well, if you can do everything, why isn't a rematch clause? And that's, I tried to help the man. Nigga didn't want my help, and it's okay. It's all right. Fuck all day. Fuck all night. So what I'm saying is this. Terrence Crawford is going to happen, but here's the catch. Bob Arum knows Sean Porter is expendable. That's the truth of the matter. PBC don't release pieces to the chessboard. Danny Garcia only had one fight last year in April, and yet he's still loyal to the PBC brand. Just being 100. Ugas fought twice last year. He's fighting in February. He's fighting February 1st. Lipinets is fighting on Deontay Wilder's undercard. All these pieces are put into play. You know what I mean? Maybe Lipinets fights Earl Spence as his mandatory on his comeback fight. I don't know. Maybe he fights his IBF mandatory. Maybe he fights Manny Pacquiao. You understand? Manny Pacquiao team told me illicitly. I'm not making this shit up. They said Sean Porter is a peasant. He only takes what boxing gives him. Sean Porter's team told, Manny Pacquiao's team told me that in private conversation. Okay, two or three Mondays ago. Danny Garcia, Team Danny Garcia says, fuck, on camera, says, fuck Sean Porter. And all that boiled down to is not having great business. All Sean Porter had to do was put a rematch clause in against Kell Brook. All Sean Porter had to do was read his contract and put a rematch clause in for Earl Spence. You could have held boxing up until they agreed to the rematch clause. Guess what? You made, I don't know, you made millions of dollars against Earl Spence, right? You could have did anything you want, went and got married, congratulations, whatever the case may be. But you knew you was getting that same payday, if not better, because it arguably is fight of the year. You know what I mean? Definitely fight of the year. Uzataki, Caleb Plant was up there, but it's so far ago. You know what I mean? J-Rock, but I think you might have won fight of the year. I think PBC gave you fight of the year. So fight of the year, you bring it right back. It brings that same fan base and then some, because we're going to talk about it. I'm going to be excited about the fight. But the fact is, Earl Spence don't ever have to fight you again. Fact is, Danny Garcia don't ever have to fight you again. The fact is, Keith Thurman has said in so many words, I'm never going to fight you again because you brought the best out of me, and I'm not willing to go through that again. So where does that leave you? That leaves you in a position where you're in a meeting with PBC, Kenny Porter, and Sean Porter, and they tell you to go negotiate a deal. Have you ever heard them say, hey, Deontay Wilder, go negotiate a deal with Top Rank? Have you ever heard them say, Danny Garcia, go negotiate a deal with Top Rank? You've never heard that. Have you ever heard them say, Leo Santa Cruz, go negotiate with the Zone or Top Rank? You've never heard that ever in your life. And you won't hear it. When your boss tells you to go somewhere else and try and get money, you're expendable. When they say, hey, we really like you, we want to keep you, so we're going to have to, would you mind for the next 6 months working 4 days a year? You're celebrating getting off, but you're never negotiating getting paid more per hour. I'm dropping a lot of jewels, man. Anyways, man, barbershop conversation. I'm about to go hit this gym, go work out. But that's the truth of the matter. You know what I mean? That's the truth. So anyways, man, barbershop conversations, man. Feel free, hit the subscribe button. My last words to this, Sean Porter, read your contracts. Sean Porter, read your contract. Because at the end of the day, you're the fighter. You're the man taking the punches. You're the man getting hit. Meanwhile, your manager got jewelry on. Got a WBC chain on. I'm glad you got a wife now. I'm glad you got a wife and you got a family, because now you have somebody else to protect. And I'm gonna keep it real. I didn't understand that shit neither until I had kids. You understand? Until I had kids and understand that life is more important. There's more important than me in this world. Once Lincoln came and then Kennedy came, I had to be selfish. I sold the Bentley. Being 100. I'm getting a Wraith, and soon the day Kennedy goes to kindergarten, I'm getting a Wraith. I'm just being 100. And it's the car that I want, and it's the car I'm going to get. But I'm going to tell you how to good business. I'm going to buy a building, save those rents for a year, and that's going to be my down payment. And the rents from that property is going to pay my motherfucking car payment for the Wraith. I'm not paying for that shit. I'm too smart. I'm too smart. I'm too intelligent. I'm too intelligent to ever have a bill. I ain't got no bills. Barbers, everything I do is called an expenditure. I itemize it and make it an expenditure. If you join my Patreon, you'll learn more about that. Sean Porter, if you join my Patreon, I would have told you to put a rematch clause in that motherfucker. But hey, what do I know, man? What do I know? I'm just self-made and well-paid. You know, shout out to my nigga Nip, man. Shout out to my nigga Nip. This Sunday, the Grammys, is it this Sunday, the 26th? The Grammys come on, and they're honoring Nipsey Hussle, man. It ain't gonna be a dry eye in America, man. I know it ain't gonna be a dry eye in America. Kurt Frank ain't gonna take us somewhere where we've probably never been before. And I'll be watching. I'll be glued to the tube watching. And I love all y'all. And that's the truth about Sean Porter fighting Terrence Crawford. Barbershop Conversations. Feel free, hit the subscribe button. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.